Good morning and welcome to today's live show. Looks like we got John T, we got Heel Toe, we got Tom, we got Connie in here first thing. Richard showing up as well. Well, so much for that 5:30 overnight. That's what I was kind of thinking in this. But we can actually explain, with price action why we weren't able to break down to lower levels, right? Talking about potential gap downs when we're seeing potential gap ups actually, and Apple not even seeing that positivity. So Apple not helping out the market, Amazon not helping it out too much. But we are seeing extensions here from Meta. We are seeing that extension possible for Microsoft. We are seeing that extension right now for Google. We are seeing things even like Nvidia come up to key levels like 114.45 to 115. So a very, very big day. And you're probably sitting there going, wow, this is bullish, 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 bullish. And it really, really is. But we do have some warning flags out there. So before we get into the price action of why this didn't happen, but instead this is happening, let's go look at some things real quick. We have volatility going down, potentially just getting rid of signals here, suggesting that we might need to make new signals, meaning this could continue into next week. What you're seeing right now could continue into next week unless you get that spooky news over the weekend, right? You get some spooky news over the weekend. People start reading into forward guidance and things like that a little bit more. But this means, hey, maybe we do still need to be paying attention to 2151. Maybe we need this to, pile up down here at some point. So volatility kind of suggesting it could continue, but I wanted to show you guys something else. That would be the dollar, right? The dollar is a warning sign here, right? We are not seeing this thing ramp up with the market at the rate that it really should be if we're in a comeback kind of mode here. We do not see reversal signals down for the MACD. We do not see reversal signals for the RSI, and we're still just stuck in the same general area. We want to see this thing get that big move, right? Then curl down and give us the higher low. We want to get that big move, reject, and give us the divergence to tell us that the dollar is turning around. We do not have that information, so the dollar is a slight, I would say, yellow flag. It is a yellow flag for the time being, right? This is a yellow flag. I will tell you something that is a little bit more of a maybe you want to be paying attention to it kind of deal. And that actually is TLT. I know I could show the 10-year yield rising, but I really wanted to show you TLT because TLT has done exactly what the market's doing, right? Where's it going to? Okay, it needs to test in this block. Okay, wherever it rejects from in that block is going to be very important. And if you wanted to, we could pull up, the rectangle. If you have a hard time seeing these things, it's perfectly fine for us to pull up this rectangle. I would probably make that rectangle more like this, but we're going to include that bottom side just to show you like, hey, we can include pretty much all of it in here and just see what's going on. Well, what's going on is we're getting rejection where before we even get to that yellow line. So as of right now, TLT is kind of a big warning here. Ignore these for now. These have not been updated. Ignore this for now. It hasn't been updated on these charts for the time being. So TLT is definitely I would say yellow starting to turn into a red signal here for the time being. It's saying, hey, it's a warning sign. That's a little bit more worrisome than, say, the dollar at this point. But the dollar has its own inclination there as well. HGX, not necessarily something to be overly worried about, but the thing we're worried about is the fact that it needs to be testing up in these type of areas. If this is really, really good, all you're doing is dinking your head in the top. If we start to see HGX, the housing sector, drop off, that's going to be a big problem as well. There are a lot of things that have not built back during this run. They have not built back during this run, so we need to keep our eye on those things. Now let's go into the SPY and talk about why this is in the upward direction, because price action can prove everything. Price action can prove everything. So what did we say? If you're going to see this break down, you're going to need to lose this center. Most likely see that even cut through this low, but we'll see if that taps back in and curls back down. Do we have that right now? No. So what the hell happened in order for this not to happen? Well, let's do this. Let's go into a 5-minute chart like we have been, and let's just look at this for a second and see what happened around this type of area if we include the extended hours. Well, if we include the extended hours, you're going to see we almost dipped our toes into that area. We create this rejection divergence, and we start to head the other way. So this is kind of a big deal at this moment as we go to a daily expected move, right? This is all that's expected for the day. Maybe we get that FOMO, maybe we get that excitement during retail hour, but still a risky weekend to be holding stuff extremely long, right? Extremely long. I think it would be more so like, hey, I'm looking for pullbacks to see the next move higher. That's not a problem, but at this moment, you're seeing upside, upside, upside. And now you're just banking on, if you start a position here, you're just banking on that blow off kind of moment. And I just don't think that's the case. I really don't. With the health that we're seeing in things like the dollar and things like HGX able to turn back around, that's like barely a yellow flag right now because it's just testing. It hasn't fully rejected. Volatility breaking down is a good thing, but at the same time, TLT is kind of a red flag. It's really turning into a red flag at this point. But the reason that we didn't break down is because you never broke down. Like you never broke down through the key level to get that retest to then turn back down to the downside again, right? Very, very simple from price action standpoint. It's, hey, yeah, there was risk here, but what are we doing right now? Well, we're holding up the market. We didn't break the key levels we needed to. We'll see if those levels will break next week, right? We'll see if those break next week. But you did buy yourself some time here where you are making 30-minute diversions if you include the extended hours. I don't necessarily like to do that. I like to assume it can continue to show it in the regular trading hours. So something that can take place here is you literally can see all of this. Remember when we talked about this? You can do this, then you can do this, then you can do this, then we can fall back down, right? As volatility starts to come back in, right? We don't see reversal signals from volatility, so some rip around kind of moves makes a lot of sense here for maybe a trading session or two. We'll see what happens throughout the morning, and we'll see if we get bad news over the weekend because this is a risky spot to be in for the time being. You did get confirmation of the move. Man, that thing ripped back to the upside. So ripped back to the upside, and that's going to be a big deal. 535 was not possible with the price action that we saw as far as overnight. It was probably possible with this confirmation to assume something like this can happen, but it didn't prove itself with the price action. So that's something we need to make sure we're following, right? The price action is going to be a big, big deal. Well, it depends. So a lot of the time, Mr. Joshua asking a great question. So if I take a short here and it does this, well, I don't know if that's going to continue. And I just said that could continue for a long time, right? We could remain in this area for a while and need to make new signals. So what does that tell me about my position right now? Well, that tells me that in this type of scenario, my position can be a little bit underwater for the whole time. So maybe today I want to find another reason for the trade, right? Maybe today I just want to get my risk out. Okay, this was the wrong timing. Let me see if it's going to be the right timing, right? Maybe up in these type of areas, we can say, okay, maybe if I see some chop here for a bit, we see something like this. Okay, awesome. Now it comes back. You know, a lot of the time people get stuck in this, like holding on to losers when they get hopium, right? We've talked about hopium. Hopium is not a good thing. And at this point, if your stop wasn't, somewhere in here and you're trying to make money like all the way down to here, right? Let's say you took a big position because someone was suggesting 535 was possible today. You heard my inclination towards it. I was like, maybe 545. If we're going to be bearish today, then 545 makes a lot of sense. I'm going to leave the door open to 535. I'm not going to say that's like incorrect. I can't say that, but I would say we're on options expiration. So, just prepare for anything to really happen here. As far as it goes, though, it's just if I'm betting on this and I see a little move like this, that can really hurt my option. And so I might want to make sure to just be like, hey, just in case and this is where it comes down to position size and stuff too, right? If the position size is just like, $500, I'm not really worried too much about it. I might just sell the thing, see if I get a little signal up here and then reapply it, right? That's what that's what I would maybe do. But for the time being, if you have a ton of money, let's say you have $20,000 and you bet $10,000 for right here for say next Friday. Okay, awesome. Well, now that 10,000 might only be worth what? Like what? 8? Maybe 8, maybe 7. Okay. Well, if this market decides to go like this and reach up to where, we don't know if it's going to stop here. We don't know if the goal is to get to here. What if it just exceeds these levels and pushes all the way up to 575? Now, this is where you want to pay attention to what is really possible for the day. What are the kind of walls that I could run into? And that's where you pay attention to this. So I'm going to help you out with this. I'm going to show you this. And we're going to zoom in just a little bit here. Let's pull this over. This thing has changed a lot lately. So we're going to kind of get this thing zoomed in because all you need to see is the big wick here. We see 570. So 570 is the first level. After that, 600. So 570 is going to be a key level. So that means this market could potentially go all the way up to 570 today, maybe even in the morning here. So what would this mean? This would mean I don't want to maybe lose money from 565 all the way to 570, but maybe instead of holding on to it here, I say maybe I could get rid of that. And the plan for the trade is if we get to 570, I can take maybe a short position for down in this type of area where we are very likely to do what? Retest and then see if we can head higher. Right? This is how I would overall see it. We left a gap behind. Okay, these gaps are going to get filled, right? I think they'll get filled sooner than later. I think they'll get filled in May. I think at least this one gets filled in May, right? And I think what you're going to notice is, hey, this thing's going to do this. It's going to need to back off, and then it will turn up for the last moment of hope for a lot of people who say, I'm hopiuming for the potential squeeze to new all-time highs, but they're getting way too excited about that, and then you see it turn back down, and you just go, okay, what is that? That could potentially be the actual 2-hour divergence that you need to turn down a daily chart, right? So it's about your position size. It's about your plan for the trade. What was your plan if this thing went above the previous high? What was your plan if this went above the yesterday's high? Is the plan to sit there, hope that it just fades? That's fine. You know, I'm not saying you can't say like, hey, I'm going to give it an hour. You know, it's not like, hey, I see this. Oh my God, blood in the streets. No, it's kind of like have a level head. If you have the correct position sizing here, then it shouldn't necessarily be like a holy crap kind of decision, right? We don't want to make holy crap kind of decisions. That's not how good trading works. Good trading is understanding risk to reward and understanding position sizing and trading like water, right? Being adaptable. And so if we're heading up to these type of areas, what does that mean for my trade right here? Well, it's failing. And so I have to look at those decisions I can make in this area. And I can look at that data and say, okay, 570 is the key level. So if we're going to extend in any way to 570, I don't know if I want to continue to lose money on that position on the way up. And then what's the bummer? Well, the bummer would be if this just gives it up in the morning and comes down like this, okay, reapply the position exactly where you applied it last time. Right? Then we see that trail down to here and you see what happens around this area. Because what you need to do is you need to wipe this out. You need to cut right through this. So if you're seeing upside today, do you think that we're going to see, do you really think that we're going to see this all in the day? Or do you think it's more likely to see a trap over the weekend? Do you think it's more likely that we are going to set a trap early next week, see a trap over the weekend? Or do you think it's more likely that this is touching a daily expected move? It's going to go all the way back through another daily expected move, then bounce, then curl back down. All in one day. No, it's going to take its time. And really, the time to short is when the trend is more with you. I understand we like to try to catch tops and things like that. It's a fun thing to do, but I'd really be paying attention to position size because the actual trade for 535 isn't potentially here because you can fool around up here for a long time. Right? The time for the trade is when you see this broken and then you see it bounce up and everyone goes, yeah, we're coming back. And then it rolls again and you go, okay, here it is from about what? 546 all the way down to 535, 534. That's the trade. This is the actual trade. Trying to get this one is fun. It's good. It's just, it can be difficult to do. So if you're someone who doesn't like to do things that are difficult, wait till the trend shows you what's happening and then see that downside. Because for the time being, ending up in the upward direction and not seeing a breakdown of this zone in any kind of fashion is an overall good thing. It's an overall good thing. It means we could see a 2-hour pullback. We could still hold that zone. We could see that curl back up. And then we could see that zone maybe broken and used to roll down. And that's why the trade is more here and not necessarily here unless you get a lot of the 5 reasons, right? We talk about 3 to 5 reasons in the full technical analysis course down there, 80% off right now. But if you want to learn some of this stuff over the weekend, we're going to update and do another price action video in there soon. But it's just, if there's no trade setup based on my rules, right? No M, nothing like that. Well, then there's no trade here, technically. Now, you know, if you're skilled at it, you can risk to reward that. If you're good with position size, you can risk to reward and things like that in these areas. Maybe you like extended hours, so you do see something. Maybe this is part of your strategy, and you see a divergence here. And you go, we are going to see a dump today, and it's going to dump like this. Maybe. If this is part of your strategy, this isn't necessarily part of mine, but I do pay attention to futures, so it can be in some way a part of mine, right? I do pay attention to futures. I do pay attention to this 2 hour. I am paying attention to the fact that, hey, look at that. Is that if that wipes out today, and then we see that start some kind of downward trend, well, guess what? We got to break through all of this. We got to break through all of that. Which means the short trade might be here and here. Not necessarily at the top that I'm trying to guess at this point. So hopefully in some way that's helpful with making a decision, right? I know it's making a decision. It's just, I would just say this. If you're looking at the position size and it's more making you freak out, then, you know, a lot of the time you don't want to be in that position. If I'm ever in a position, which I don't get into anymore, these are more things that I did early on in my trading, right? I made decisions very hasty. I tried to bet on every earnings. When it would drop down, I would say it's coming back, it's coming back, it's coming back, right? Unless I am seeing something in my rules that was prepared for a move like this and I paid attention to my position size correctly and I'm not freaking out because of this. If I'm freaking out because of this, I would say get to a position now where you're not freaking out because of anything. And then the next trade you take, I would highly, highly suggest being like, hey, don't use an amount that's going to cause you to freak out, right? Based on your stuff. If you have, this is a short squeeze technically, right? So shorting it is going to be difficult. So if I have 20 grand and I want to apply $10,000 right here, that's probably not the best decision. But if I want to say something bad is coming over the weekend and I want to bet on that because you don't necessarily see the exact inclinations with, say, my trading strategy that there is something bad coming over the weekend, you just see a lot of risky things, some warning signs, some things that say we could see something shaken up over the weekend, but we also could build this up for next week, build up here and make a top, right? We could build up here and make a top and see something like this. And then next Tuesday could be the time that we actually see those signals proven. So if I'm not seeing things that are directly related to my strategy and I took something, then I need to understand that if the things that are related to my strategy got wiped out with this move alone, then I need to be paying attention. I need to be making decisions. I need to be moving. Did I use too big of a position size? Because if I'm trying to do some kind of topping, right? If I'm trying to catch a top, that means I'm trying to be in some kind of probably big move. Okay, so if I'm trying to be in a big move, do I need to bet 10,000? Do I need to bet 2,000 if I only have 20K? Do I need to bet 10? Do I need to bet 20? Do I need to bet 2? Or could I just say, hey, this is a good time. I know that we're in a positive trend. I think this is the top. I'm going to try it for $500 because I see my strategy here. Okay, I got confirmation. I'm going to try $500. Oh, it went the wrong way on me. Oh, okay. I lost $200 this morning. You know, that's kind of how I like to put it. Because for the time being, we're just seeing what happens. For the time being, I think this could be a trap over the weekend. Does that mean I'm betting on it? You know, that's the difference. Like people, you know, I think a lot of people look at YouTubers and they say, oh yeah, this could be a big trap over the weekend. This could be a big trap over the weekend. It doesn't incline me in any way to short. What makes me short? My rules. My rules are, what are we doing at the weekly expected move? My rules are, am I seeing weakness on the MACD? My rules are, am I seeing weakness on the RSI? My rules are we seeing something that could break down below the 5? My rules are, what are the environment we're in? Right? And then I can add in those extra things. Do I see volatility able to whip back up right now, or does it look more likely to potentially even make more signals later? We'll have to find out with volatility. We got some interesting things going on. Okay. So what are my rules with a risk to reward play? Is it 570? Am I looking for 570 today and saying, hey, we're going to get towards there, which will take me outside of that move, and then I can apply all those positions. All right, sorry, that was a bit of a tangent, but I just wanted to make sure we're going through and being like, hey, if my things were violated, then doesn't that make me have a reaction? Maybe not the reaction that I would like to do. Maybe I don't like seeing red, but I would highly encourage you to enjoy seeing a little bit of red, not a lot of red. Enjoy selling in this, or enjoy selling when something goes wrong. Because guess what? You know what you're saying to the market maker at that point? You know what you're saying to Wall Street? They want you to maybe do this and then hold it, hold it, hold it. Then they say, oh, yeah, it's coming down. Then they retest into here. Then it pops back up. Then it curls back down on, say, Monday. And Tuesday, we see this thing start to turn around. But you held throughout all this on your 2-day option or 1-day option or 0 DTE option, hoping that this was going to happen. You don't see any of that proven on your chart in front of you. So what I'm getting at here is sometimes hitting the sell button and taking a loss is the best thing to do. And waiting for your setup to actually show again if the things that your setup is, if it's not prepared for this, if your plan is not prepared for this. Right? Because what are you saying to the Wall Street and the market maker, right? Again, right? You're saying, I'm not going to let you take all of my money. You caught me this time. Hey, you caught me in a little thing. Okay, cool. But I'm not a guy that just sits around and takes it. I don't sit there and have my hands tied behind my back, right? I have my hands in front of me. I can fight back. I took a punch. Now I get to punch back in some way. I get to defend in some way, right? It's very, very good to understand that, you know, sometimes taking a loss is the best thing to do, especially if you did way too much position size. Wolfing? Hell yeah, that's what's up. What's supposed to happen over the weekend? Nothing's supposed to happen over the weekend. I just think that this guidance from a lot of these companies is garbage. I think it's really bad. Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily a good thing. NECB. Well, it looks like a little 30-minute curl up. Did you get the 2 hour to pull back? Got the 2 hour to pull back. One thing here though. You did dip into this zone. That's pretty good. This is pretty good. What you're looking for now is you want to see a break above 23.13. Break above 23.13 pretty much says like, hey, yeah, we're going to maybe go to above 23.50. And if everything remains good here, we might be making a new sequence. So if you take this out, pretty much you take this out and you don't see that fade right away, you can head to here. If you, and you already took it out, look at that, you gapped above it. So perfect. There you go. You gapped above it. Okay. Awesome. You gapped right to it. Saw that little extension. This means if this isn't given up today, it can extend to 23.50. If you extend past 23.50 and probably retest off that area, you can go make new highs here. A new high for the week at least. I haven't looked at it. Yeah, you're gearing up. You might even see a big move from this. We'll see. But you got to watch for rejection with the environment we're in. That thing is a low liquidity chop fest, so I'm not the most excited about that one. So for the SPY, what are you looking for, right? Well, I'm looking for my rules to show up for an actual trade, but if I'm just watching this, maybe I had some good trade this week and I don't want to ruin it over the weekend. Don't ruin your weekend, right? And I know this could chop around here for a little bit. So this could take into next week to actually show anything. Or I could see a trap over the weekend. But I could see a trap over the weekend a good one reason? That is like, if that's your one reason to take a trade, man. I'll say this, position size, okay? if that's the only reason you got. So what do you want to see here? We want to see what happens next. Weirdly enough. You want to see if you get better information here. Right? You pull back into this area in the morning here, you pop up, and then you see this by the end of the day, and then you see a little sell come in. Okay, do you have reasons now? Does the price action show you something? Because if this is just going to be bad news over the weekend, then we should see something like this, and then you'll probably get a bounce because people are going to short the low. Then you're going to bounce, and then on that bounce, this would potentially even be the bigger drop. So the actual short isn't until later. Being patient is a good thing. That's how I see it at this point. FP wasn't too bad. You sound far too awake. I was tired yesterday. I got some good sleep last night. Sue me, you know? To be honest with you, I really feel a bull trap is coming. That is possible. And remember a few weeks ago, and I wanted to, mention it. It's less about what people are saying and more about what people are doing. People are saying bearish, 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 right? They're saying that, but are they? Or is everyone really positioned for a further squeeze at this point? And that's the kind of $1,000,000 question at this point, right? Is everyone positioned for a squeeze on the retail side and they're about to see that ripped away? Because I think we still have the I think we still need to test these lows again. I think we need to test this at least. It'd be great if we held up above it, but I'm talking about I think we need to test in this big ass block one more time. Which means the best thing that we could do is potentially do something like this, dink our head off and start to turn back around, right? That's why we'll pay attention for rejection at that 550. But if this is going to test even deeper, hey, we have gaps to fill, buddy. We got gaps to fill, buddy. We have gaps to fill, buddy. And if people start, if really bad news comes out, right? Ahmad talking about some really bad news, some fear of a bull trap here. Okay, awesome. Well then, boom, send it. It's probably not going to be a straight line. We'll see if it is. But boom, send it. Really scare people and think crash, and then show us the buy come in, and then we go, okay, the best trade of 2025 is here. This is going to be the best trade of 2025 if it sets up. You know what else will be the best trade? This is why I'm paying attention to these things. I don't really care about this. The only thing I care about is the next move higher. I care about this. That could be the best trade of 2025. That's what gets you to 591, possibly even by the end of the month. Right, that any kind of trade down here, down in these levels, is going to be fantastic. If you see the buy come in, right, we got to make sure that we see the signals right. We got to make sure we're seeing things that it can turn around, because if this is going to break down, we could lose these levels and start to head in a downward direction, right? We lose this whole big block up here. Maybe we use the bottom side as the block. And we lose that, we bounce back into it and we reject. That's going to be a problem. That means whatever we're seeing in the news, whatever things that are happening in the economy, they weren't priced in yet, which means we go lower. If you go lower from this point right here, yeah, the algorithm's going to start getting involved. The people who really like to hit the sell button fast, that losing this confidently and seeing a retest and then reject, ooh, that is going to cause some problems. Got your appreciation on the donation side. Richard, I'll go look. There you go. Richard coming in with the 200, just paying it for it. 200. My goodness, my friend. 200. You are too nice. But now I can take my wife out for a dinner again, right? I'm supposed to do, Mother's Day is coming up, so I'm sure she appreciates it. She just spent all her money on her tattoo because she likes to do that. She likes to, she's been a working girl her entire life. So she likes to pay for herself, which is very, very cool. We'll say she likes to pay for herself. We'll say sometimes. But thank you, Richard. We really appreciate it over here. Maybe should we load the boat today? You know what we should do? I think we should load some boats today. We're going to load some boats today, Richard. What do you think? You tell me the ticker, I'm loading a boat. Mom's Day is one of the most important days. Dad's Day is the 17th important day or 19th important day. Maybe we'll look at loading the boat or something today. Thank you so much for that, Richard. Really appreciate it. And the extra $2 just to tell me. I appreciate that, buddy. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for giving back to the community. So yeah, it's a matter of time, right? It's a matter of time. It's a matter of, do I see the good things in front of me that I need to see for an actual trade? If my rules are not showing in front of me, if there is no trade setup, then there is no trade, right? If I think that something bad is happening over the weekend, well, I have to realize that that is potentially low information with the price action I'm seeing in front of me. I'm not seeing that proven to me by the price action just yet. So what does that mean? Well, that means downsize the position in case I'm just wrong, because you are taking it on low amounts of reasons. You're seeing risky things, right? We showed the dollar. We showed, some of the guidance that you got was bad. We showed TLT still dropping at this moment. We showed how HGX is probably important to watch, right? Those are all warning signs. But if I'm taking a trade based on warning signs, I better understand that the position size needs to be down in this area. Now, that being said, you might look here and what if puts are pretty cheap? Ooh, might not be a bad trade, right? It might not be a bad trade. It's just on low information, low confirmation. $5, great morning, hymns. A lot of people have been talking about hymns. A lot of people have been talking about hymns lately. Hymns, big zone, right? The cool part about this is the breakout actually to test the middle of this zone. Test the middle of this zone, actually. And we're able to break back above it, so that's a great thing. Is there risk here? Yes. Is there risk here? Yes. But if daily momentum can take over, that'd be a good thing. So I don't think this will be like an easy short. I mean, I think that this would be the area where it wouldn't be like the worst decision, because I think you're in dire need of a 2-hour pullback at this point, right? If this is all the pullback you're going to get and you're going to extend, maybe you even extend. I'm not thinking shorting this will be like easy. If you're lucky, it'll just go like this right now. But at a key level, fantastic. What do we want to see from this? Well, we potentially want to see that breakout, retest into this, and then be able to curl back up. This would be potentially the next actual trade if this is going to remain bullish. For the time being, if it's going to break down, then what you will most likely see is this low will be taken out. You might even get some kind of bounce, and then you're going to see that reject again, and then that's where you fill both gaps. That's the more likely area where the shorting would be easier, right? Because if this 2-hour just pulls back and turns back up, you got to be weary of it, because you literally are so damn positive here. So you're looking for what in order to say, yes, this is an easier short? You're looking for the lower high kind of signals for HIMS, I think, which would be great. But right now, the 2-hour is so positive that it really looks like it's going to continue. So you're seeing 30-minute divergence. That means maybe I get the 2-hour pullback. Maybe that pulls back aggressively, but if that just curls back up and we get a good earnings, hey, you're good to go. But what does this mean? Okay, if I saw the 2-hour flatness and I saw the 2-hour divergence that was here, and I see this positive bar and I say go, 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 it fools around for a while and then pops to the upside and gets to here, is the trade done? This trade is done. Just so you're aware, this trade is done. That's done. At these areas, what are you looking for? Left, head, right shoulder. Even if that blows off the top first, it will most likely come back and turn back around. The trade is still going to be here. If it's going to see resistance right now, this trade is done. It's done. You can't tell me there's 2-hour divergence on the RSI and it's not done. It hasn't confirmed, but I don't care. It's formed. It's done. So if the other scenario happens and this is resistance and I don't short it because, hey, that's interesting, right? I don't want to short things. We'll probably see something like this. Okay, and what does that form? Left, head, right shoulder. So in both scenarios where a trade would set up, you're going to see this thing curl down at some point. If it does not curl down, there is no setup, right? And you got that E down there where really anything could happen. So what do we call this? When you get a good signal and a big move right before earnings. What do we call it, folks? Come on. I got that Target MK. I'm in Target. That's my one investment right now. It's my one investment. I guess that and GME and AMC, but those are, I don't know if those are really like investments. Those are get lucky kind of things. GME looks pretty good actually, but go to jail. Go to jail. It is your get out of jail free card. If I wanted to play earnings and I take it before, so I don't have to deal with earnings volatility, and then it goes like this, well, first of all, IV is most likely going to go up, right, next week for sure, if it's not up already. And two, this trade was supposed to stop, the highest point that we really wanted to see was what? This right here. That's why we had a box marked off for it already. This right here. It's there. Don't this is a big problem with a lot of people. They don't listen to their plan. The plan was the best case scenario I get to here. You just caught, if you took this on the closing bar, you are now up 42%. And you're saying, I want more. That's greedy. That's greedy, greedy, greedy. Say thank you for the get out of jail free card. Get out of jail free. 30-minute divergence right here. If this just goes like this, you're pulling back and potentially filling the gap. You could go all the way back down to here. You don't have to do this. I think it's likely you do this, and then you see something. But if we see bad news over the weekend, you got 2 gaps down here. It says what? If I'm not even trading options, I could have made what? 43%. Then it comes all the way back down to that area. And let's just say I'd say whatever, and I buy it again. And it goes up again, 43%. That's low risk, right? Especially when you even take options out of it. 43% twice in a row would be fan-freaking-tastic. What do you not want to see? You don't really want to see the daily be able to rotate down. So if you get bad enough news that you come back down into this block, right? Potentially you can make that a zone as well. Let's take this wick right here. Take the bottom wick as well, actually. Let's just include it all for this, this point. If you start to see this, this is how it breaks down, right? You lose this, and you don't see it snap back. You lose this, you start to see resistances form in this area, and you roll. Or the better case would be you completely wipe out that zone. That's when you're at the most risk to use it as resistance, and then turn back to the downside. This is when you know that HIMS is probably heading lower. If it's going to head higher, okay, show me this. Even show me this, and then show me that it's going to be good again. Right? Show me that it's going to be good again. It's all a matter of just, what does price action do? Is it breaking the key levels? Are we holding price? It's a lot of what's going on right now. Right now we see that the 30-minute here for the SPY trying to curl down at this moment. We'll see if that's going to take place. As of right now, if we go into a 5-minute chart, do we see weakness? Let's check on that RSI. Technically, you could suggest yes. So we'll see what happens here. Looks like it might set up cup and handle. I would say head and shoulders. Head and shoulders would more so be what I'd be inclined to. But like I said, doesn't matter. You call it, I call it, whatever. It's a 2-hour pullback, right? It's a 2-hour pullback. Yeah, the move can extend, but my next trade is a 2-hour pullback. Every single thing is just, what is my actual trade? A 2-hour pullback. Okay, so if I don't see a 2-hour pullback, is there a trade? No. He said load the boat for Amazon? No, we're not. No, Richard. Okay, here's the thing, man. If he tells us to load the boat, we'll look at something and see if it's fun. Loading the boat on Amazon right now during tariff time, during all of this tariff pricing stuff, during this import pricing stuff, yeah, no thank you. No thank you is what I will say to that. I'm sorry, Richard, but maybe we need to find our own boat to load. Let's go find our own boat to load. With our you're funding my degeneracy with that 200. No, we'll only load with 100, so we can take wifey out again, right? We're gonna be using that zoo membership this weekend. Make sure you get out there, go get some sun, have some fun. Can we speak about Nvidia? Yes, we can. I think Nvidia is a great thing to pay attention to at this moment, actually. I think it's very, very good. What are you noticing here from Nvidia? Well, if this is pretty simple, what do you get? You get this. All right, awesome. What'd you go into? A flag. Pretty volatile flag, but still a flag. You gap up. You create what would be potentially an island that we can leave behind if Monday is bad. What do we notice from this so far? Is it still holding divergence points? Yeah, I would say it's extended, but it is holding. You are seeing some forms of weakness. Is that something that's really worrisome? Well, if we look at this point, we've seen curl ups in this area below that area before. So I think it's still likely that we could see all of this fade for a retest. We could see this come back up next week, and then really pay attention to 115. I was looking at some of the options for Nvidia. It looks like 115 super important. So if you're able to stay above 115, that would be very good. But the thing that's worrisome for Nvidia is just you've never you've just you just took it out barely today on a wick. That's not telling me strength, right? That's really not giving me a bunch of like hope, right? For the most part, we look at the 2-hour chart and what do you see? Well, you see this. It's not overbought though, right? This is why shorting this can be a hard thing. Let it show you the short, right? Because how this thing's going to go short is probably you come back down into this type of area, you catch a bounce, right? Then you roll over, and this is the actual time where you can go down to these type of levels, right? It's a matter of patience and when the actual risk to reward, when the actual like percentages are with you. I think they'd be with you from here from a risk to reward standpoint, by the way. It's just the environment you're in right now, you're completely betting against the Nvidia environment you're in, right? So for the time being, though, you can see the MACD getting rid of the signal. You can see here that we do keep it on the RSI. So it just tells me there's potential weakness here. This is a very key level. Resistance, resistance, right? Support, support, gapped up to it, gapped through it, resistance, support beneath it, support in the past. Very important level. So if you see good things above this and you use it as support, hey, you're probably going to see upside. What are you doing right now? You're potentially rejecting off of it. So this would mean from this level, I'm still looking for pullbacks to actually take a bullish trade. I don't care if it goes up first. Just clicked my buttons again. You know me. All right, there we go. I don't care if it does this first. Boom. Okay, awesome. I'm waiting for this. I'm waiting for this. I'm waiting for this. Right? Patience is a good thing. Making sure you understand when the trade's actually coming to you. Don't chase the trade. Now, what would I say? I would say sellers are probably in this area. So I think it's very likely for this to be a trap. Like as far as Nvidia goes, it's not breaking the key level, so it's very likely to be a trap. Amazon loading the boat on this with absolutely divergence here, right? We extend this to an hourly probably. Look at that. You know, I'm not the biggest fan of hourly charts personally, but if it shows it as clearly as this, and you see how close you are to going negative with that divergence, with it on the RSI at the same time, this says, wow, this can be ugly. Can be. And you're seeing what? Price action start. That's a good start. RSI follow. Do I want to assume some risk with 2 reasons? Okay, what does this mean? We're very likely to do what? Break this low. Break this low. Probably come down into here, get some kind of bounce back into the middle, and then roll down to that gap, break that, roll back up, retest where we just came to previously, then turn down one more time to fill that gap, see if you have turnaround kind of signals. That would be the best way for this to set up over time for even a bullish trade later, but we're more so talking about, you know, shorting from here is fine, probably low position size because people wouldn't expect it. You'll make good money if that's going to take place, right? We don't have multiple forms of confirmation just yet, right? But if I did it and it went like this, that would be good money, and I wouldn't want to get greedy and say, oh, this has to happen, you know, in the next 2 days. No, I'd pay attention. I'd look for this. I'd see Amazon maybe curl down here. I'd see a weekly expected move here. We'd go down to that type of move. We would bounce. You would see that reject off of somewhere down in here, somewhere in the middle maybe. We'd see some kind of bounce. And then towards later on in the week, we could see that curl down, see a big spike, make a signal, see what happens. We can utilize our weekly expected moves next week if this thing is going to turn down. And pretty much, if the SPY is going to turn down next week, we're probably going to hit a downside weekly expected move, right? If we think about it very simply, it's like, hey, if I'm risk to reward in some way, then I probably am going to see this hit a weekly expected move, which means taking profit at a weekly expected move next week is probably the good thing. Well, I think Nvidia has an opportunity to kind of not necessarily save the market, but an opportunity to show a good earnings while we potentially get tariff news in a few weeks, right? What did the administration tell us just, what was it, a week ago? It was a week ago, maybe a week and a half. A week and a half ago, they said in the next 3 weeks, They said in about 3 weeks, we could see some deals coming through. Are we to that point yet? No. Have we got any updates on things that are actually certain and meaningful, and there is things signed, and we are going into this, and this is the deal, and now we have 0% tariffs back and forth? No. Have we seen de-escalation from China or more confusion from the China-US kind of narratives? I would say we see the same amount. I think it's the same amount of confusion. I don't think you have anything wiped off at this point. But you have China secretly under the table, kind of, cutting things. They probably are in talks. If they're not in talks, then Trump should not say that. That is a very bad thing to say. Buy the rumor, sell the news, trade ideals, I think are perfectly acceptable in this environment right now. I in no way think that that is incorrect. I think you're in that. But do you see the things that tell you that it's a trade? Do you see the things that tell you to take the trade, right? Because you're looking for the things in front of you. That's why you look at this stuff, right? You look at this stuff. Why? For reasons. So if I don't see reasons, then what the hell am I even looking at charts for? I'm just seeing a price and doing it, right? I'm just seeing, oh, this is up high, I'm going to short it, right? If you're actually trying to look at this stuff, then understand you're looking for reasons to react. If you don't have reasons to react here, then you're just potentially gambling. You're not waiting for the trade to come to you. You're actually gambling. If you're just saying, oh, it's here, so I'm going to short, right? Look for those reasons. Those reasons can be different for different people. It could be the PCC is really, really low, so everyone's in calls at the key level of about 570. Okay, everyone's in calls at 570. We're hitting the key level. This is a retest, the environment we're in. This is very likely to drop. Maybe I'm going to short the SPY for the next month and target something like 545 to 535 and say we will get there sometime in the month of May. Right? Do I see the reasons? That's the whole reason you look at charting. That's the whole reason for technical analysis, is to get an edge. And you know what gives you an edge? When you actually see the reasons. If you don't see reasons, there's no edge. You're just guessing. And sometimes you can guess very right. But if you continue to guess, that is a bad decision to continue to guess. What am I thinking at this point? I'm thinking being long here is risky. But if you see good news right now, this market would explode. Do I think we're going to get that good news? Well, considering that we've had 2 months of, say, no good news, I would be crazy to continue to think that good news is coming every single week. Maybe I just want to sit back, look at what's in front of me, maybe even sit out. And then once I actually see a good signal and see good news behind it, I can have confidence. I can have certainty. It'll be 10 green days in a row. Technically, yes. It wouldn't be 10 in a row. I don't know where we're getting 10. You've got 1, you've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You did not close green at the low. You have a 9 count on the... Actually, this is probably an 8 count. This is an 8 count, isn't it? Because this one, all you got to do is count back 4 bars, right? You guys know that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Are we below it? Yes. Okay, what about this one? 1, 2, 3. Wait, no, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4. Still below it. Is this a 7 count? Am I doing that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, yeah, it's an 8 count. 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I had to do it again just to prove it to myself. So this bar right here, you notice 1, 2, 3, 4. Are we above that? Are we above this? Yes. Okay, so the count starts here. So technically Monday would be your 9 if you're one of those. Let's go into a 5-minute chart and see if we see any. This is a very good move, so I think you'll at least see the, oh, actually 5-minute couldn't even get overbought here. Never mind. The swing trading course, very, very short. I think it's brief. I think it's just dip your toes in the water. The full technical analysis course, people, you can wipe it out in a day. I suggest, spacing it out. Make sure you're taking a portion and then going and looking at charts for like at least 30 minutes to an hour just to make sure, hey, this is clicking, this is clicking, this is clicking. Look at the next section. You could maybe take like MACD and RSI and then go look at charts for an hour and just make sure, okay, let's see about this. This is a positive trend. Okay, this is a negative. Okay, here we go. And then you get into weekly moves and stuff like that. And you can keep up this week's weekly expected moves and be like, okay, so here's the decision-making area. Okay, we need to do this, this, this. I would highly suggest not just like taking it all in one day and expecting yourself to be LeBron. Take it all in one day and expect yourself to be a middle school soccer player, someone who's okay. Then as you make mistakes and you learn from those mistakes and you find out what you're good at and you find the right position to be in, right? Maybe in middle school, you're small and you sucked ass at defense. And then in high school, you figured out, oh, by then, okay, defense isn't my thing. So maybe I can do it this way, right? Figuring it out. And then in high school, you're probably going to hit a couple of good trades and you're going to get cocky. And then you're going to go to college. And then you're going to hit something that really goes against your trade and you're going to hold on to it and life's going to slap you in the face and you're going to learn a little bit more. And then you'll get out of college, right? You'll be doing good, a little bit more consistency, but you'll still run into the moment where you think you know everything. And then guess what? The market will slap you in the face. And then once you get slapped in the face enough, you're going to go, wow, I'm not young anymore. Let me not take on as much risk, but still a little bit of risk because I'm not 80. And then you'll get into your flirty 30s, 30 flirty and thrivings. And then you'll start to do really, really well from like 25 to 35. And then if you do really well from that standpoint and that type of mentality, and you keep that consistent for years till you're in your 50s, you can maybe retire early. There you go. Oh, God. Netflix showing some crazy stuff. These boxes and midlines are a game changer. Also, really okay. So we need to put that in the course then, Nels. The thing is, like, and people hear me talk about probabilities from key levels all the time. I just don't make the boxes anymore. This happens all the time, by the way. This has happened multiple times last year, where something that I do that people see as helpful. Remember the management of trade that came out last year? Hey, Luke, I keep losing on trades. How do I get out of stuff that is overall going against my trade? Oh, well, and then I just talk on live and I go, oh, well, I just do this simple thing. And then people go, whoa, wait. That's really helpful. And then I go, oh shit, we need to put that on the course. And I go, okay. And then I put it out there. And literally the next day, like 20 people came on the live show and go, oh my gosh, this is actually one of the most helpful things ever. And I'm like, okay, great. That's all. That's what we like to see. So it's really me figuring out what is helpful to a bunch of people based on things that I do. And it looks like people need a lot of help with just price action and zones. And so we go over zones a little bit, right? But it's more about support and resistance and things like that. So we'll go deeper into it in a video in the course, the full technical analysis course. Discussing it with swing trading, it can be a good discussion in swing trading. It can be, but I don't know if it's the most productive. If you're getting in that deep into swing trading and you're looking at these zones and you're looking at a 5 or 30-minute chart, right? It's probably just like, okay, well, we probably just need to be like, we're probably going too in depth. You probably need to just learn everything else at that point, right? Because it's kind of everything together is what forms you into a consistent trader. So we do see the RSI holding that as divergence. We do see the MACD. I'm going to count that. I think there's risk over the weekend. So I would like to see that extension to 567. I'm trying to see what I'm going to be when I grow up. It's always, hey, it's okay. You can figure it out your entire life. Who says you have to live your life with it figured it out? You'll probably have a more entertaining life if you're figuring it out the whole time. Might be a little bit more stressful. Might be a little bit more stressful, but what's life without a little bit of stress? There's good stressors and bad stressors. If I go to the gym, I'm pretty stressed, right? My muscles are stressed. Going to the gym with my boy today. My boy. Me and him used to we used to deadlift 350 together. But not no mo. Luke's a weakling now. Yeah, let me check on Netflix on the other screen real quick. You said it's on the weekly scale. HGX actually seeing upside. That's a good thing. Still nowhere near where it needs to be. That's a good thing, though. Netflix. Oh, I have that down here. I'm not going to type it. Netflix. Hey, my investment's up. Yeah, okay, so the thing about Netflix, this is probably going to see a mean dump all the way down to $1,000. Not enough information to trade behind it at this point. I don't believe. Yeah, too squeeze-like to guess where that top is. But eventually, I think we're going to test down into here. Eventually, we're going to test down into here. You know, this is where, what's his name? Tom might get excited, right? Tom might get excited and just say, hey, Luke, pull up a fib, right? You know, see, and you can see, we could test down into here. That'd be my golden pocket. That'd be nice. Doesn't have to, but I think we will. So if you're looking at these weekly signals, right? You're looking at the weekly and you're going, wow, this is crazy. This is awful. Yes, it is. But this can take a lot of time to figure itself out. So here's what I mean by that. You can take a lot of time. You can see this, then actually get that bad signal to come in. Right? You can see this extend for some time. You don't necessarily have the weakness on the daily scale, and it potentially is getting violated here. So this means watch out for extensions. You know, if it's going to break down, then you're going to see something massively ugly, and you're probably not going to be able to break through $1,000 again. You'll probably use that as resistance. You'll probably see this actually break down, curl back up, give some people some hope, and then curl back down. Right? I think this is an overzealous move from Netflix. Based on how I'm doing things in real life, if people think like me, then they might be getting rid of their Netflix, and they're not necessarily making great money. They're not. If they were making great money, they potentially would not have a subscription that has ads still in it, right? If they were making good money, they would just say, oh, here's a free version. You're going to get ads every 10 minutes. They're not making great money. They never have. It's pretty true that Netflix has always struggled to make money. Now they're trying to make movies and things like that. They've been doing that for a while. They lose money on every single thing that they produce, by the way. Every single movie, every single show that Netflix produces, they lose money on, just so you're aware. But they did have daily divergence, so I'm not going to sit there and say that this weekly move is going to be weak. That's going to be very, very strong, and I think it will overall continue. I think this could get to, let's see where that would extend to. Just give a guesstimate here. Ooh, it's yeah, this is overzealous move, though. I think you're right to point it out. I don't think, like, investing at these levels is good as how you would read into the weekly chart, because that is a mean-looking divergence on the RSI. You just confirmed it up. So really what you're hoping if you're a Netflix investor is for this just to explode. And if it explodes and goes to like 1,400, you take your money and you fucking run. I would be like, no, nope. I would be like looking at Target and other things like that and saying thank you for the money. That'd be me. Wolfie Boy trying to get another push. Look at that thing on the weekly scale. Woo, good divergence there. Looks like Wolfie Boy about to go for a stroll. Very good. Retested in the top of the lows. Now break out. Now you want to see how it behaves around here. We used to have moves for this. I'm going to just take this wick right here. This is probably good. We'll take the bottom wick as well. So if Wolfie rejects from 600, if Wolfie, that would be sick. That would be dope. 600 for Wolfie Boy? No. If Wolfie Boy rejects from $6 and breaks back below 475, then that would be a rejection. So you want Wolfie Boy to get above $7 and then use $6 as support. That's it. Heel Toe's like, I got him excited for a second. Heel Toe's like, 600. The guy on YouTube said 600. 611 important level. Yeah, I see $6 as pretty freaking important. If you can take that back confidently, you get to $7. Hey, hats off. Hats off. But as of right now, you saw a rejection from 472-ish. What's the high? 470. So you weren't able to fully get there and you rejected off to retest the bottom zone, but you retested in the top of it. So you see this. Here, I'll just show you. You see this? Great. But you want to see that go like this. If you just get to here, there's always risk that you could fall back through. So really the trade is actually here, right? Here, potential to go here, right, to here. This is pretty much the trade. If you get that extension, right, leave the runners, you see that extend, hey, blow off, do whatever you got to do. But I think for the most part, you're looking for something like this. Or even if that gives it up, you're looking for it to take that back and then go to the upside again, giving some sort of structure if it's going to take its time. I think that's what you're overall looking for here. Around these moments, though, if you see something like this, we could test back into it and then go. It can kind of be that kind of market. But I think Wolfie Boy, if it's gearing up and doing this and then pulls back and explodes up, I don't think it revisits here. I think it squeezes. That's how I'd put it. Because of the weekly scale. You look at the weekly scale and you see this and you're just like, wow, Wolfie Boy might scream. Wolfie Boy could go to 1630. Wolfie Boy technically could go all the way to 2220. That would be crazy. But you got to see good things down in here to really be convinced. And you got to, these are risk to reward. This is where you pay attention to, hey, I have $20,000. Do I want to risk $10,000 behind Wolfie Boy? Probably not, right? Probably not the best decision, right? But hey, $500. Who's going to beat you up for making 1,000? I made about 700 from Wolfie Boy on that push right there. I mean, I sold it the other day. I sold it on the initial push to $4 because I bought it like a month ago. I bought calls like, what, right after the earnings, I think. So beginning of February, I just bought calls and I said, yeah, I'm just going to buy this for a few months. Straight up luck play, not saying there's any reason, like not trying to gloat, not trying to say I'm a genius, nothing. I just went YOLO. Once you have a good, decent amount of money, you can have some fun with it with $500. Sold half of mine at 385. So yeah, similar scenario, heel toe. What do you think about Microsoft running to 450? I think Microsoft is going to fade this motherfucker like a crazy. I think it's going to fade. That being said, great stuff. Let's get rid of some zones real quick so we're not confused. This zone mattered. It's not a perfect zone. That was more a support resistance zone, right? Price action zones are going to be different than just support resistance zones, okay? Right, so what we talked about in the course isn't necessarily the same as the price action that we're really looking at here, right? But this is very, very cool if you did the price action, right? Why is this very cool if you did the price action? Well, because if you pull that zone and you look what happened, look at this. You break where? To the upside. We were just talking about this with Wolf. You see that touch, then boom. But you had earnings to project you higher. This easily could have fooled around in here for longer. But very cool to see this, right? This is how you want to see behavior at these type of levels. It doesn't mean it's perfect. These things can fail, but this is the higher probable thing as you test that and you curl to the upside. That's great. So now what are you doing? Well, you're potentially going into a bigger, you would say bigger zone, potentially bigger zone. And so what you want to see from here is, I want to retest. I want a retest. I don't give a shit. I'm not going to look at this thing if it keeps doing this. Don't care. I do not care. I invested in Target. I don't need Microsoft. I don't care. Comes into this level, comes into this level, comes into this level. I don't care. Where's the actual trade? Because I can tell you right now, it's not here. It's probably down in here, right? So that means for me, if there's going to be a trade setup, that. If there's going to be a trade setup, use that zone again. If there's going to be a trade setup, dump that bad boy. I think that's probably lower probability with the big move, but, you know, anything can happen. I think you're going to see this filled. Or at least until it fills that, I'm not looking at it. 30-minute here for the SPY showing upside, upside. Make sure you guys have monthly expected moves, Patreon members. Remember for, there we go. We finally see that daily expected move get tagged. The percentages are starting to be against you. If you're long here, this is the decision-making area. Don't ruin your weekend. Where bears might be lurking. Couldn't say it better myself, Dubs. So, Davin, I hope you understand what I'm getting at there. Is there a trade right now? It can keep squeezing forever if it wanted to. Right? Is that a short? Is it a fade? Do you fade things often? Do you know how to fade things correctly, if you will? Or do you have the good risk to reward to fade? Okay. Do you have a monthly expected move? Right? What's the percentage chance of Microsoft falling from that level? All right. The percentages are with you. The percentages are with you for Microsoft to fall like right away, right now. On the second day of the month, you are way outside of the monthly expected move. We did give second standard deviations if you want to utilize those. We will notice that the SPY is going up to 565. If there is some kind of trap over the weekend, I highly doubt that we see some kind of sell, especially in the morning. I think we could more so see a 5-minute reach up higher. I think we could see some kind of sell once the other markets are closing. Maybe extend, see it come down, see that sell come in, tap into there, come back up. Then we see something towards the end of the day. You know, towards that well, I guess you guys are different time zones, but towards the last 2 hours of the day. Unless you just get bad news. Because if this is going to be some earnings trap, then they probably don't want you to see the trap today. Right? This is kind of implied from right here. Right? They showed their hand. They go, we don't need them to see that. Let's let them buy these things. Let's hold off on the sells. Let's let it do this and then sell everything on dark pool. Sell everything on dark pool here. Sell everything on dark pool at these levels. That's how I think the mental of it would go. So if we're going to see some kind of weekend trap, I highly doubt we see this today. If it sees this today, I think we'll extend. I think we'll see that 570 tested. But just because I think it doesn't mean it has to happen. You do have 30-minute divergence. So if the 30-minute does confirm down, you do have 30-minute divergence on both MACD and RSI. S&P back above 6,000 this summer. I agree with you. I agree with you, Frederick. How we get there, I think we might disagree, but I do agree with you. I am not in any way saying that a massive crash is coming right now. I think that we could see a crash-like moment. But really, it's just another retest of the lows to see if everything is priced in. Retest of 510, retest of 480, maybe right in between, anywhere in between. If we do not get the retest, that's perfectly fine. Robert saying double bottom likely. I think that that's something to pay attention to. Really close now, actually. Damn. Let's go check on the memers. GME, is this thing gone? For the time being, You'd have to say this is a rough spot to be in for GME, but what's it doing? It's holding that 27.15 very nicely. 2 hours confirmed down. This is suggesting that you're about to see a dump from GME. What was the stock that moved up before everything else? GME. What is the stock that is showing weakness, blatant weakness, and getting weakness, right? Not making a new high on the day from yesterday. GME. This means what? Well, let's hope it pops off. This is a great price, right? Get that, open the freaking box already, dude. Open that birthday present. Pop this thing off. This is the area where it needs to happen. Because if you have these, you're in a moment just like over here. Just like this. Just a little tighter. Just like that. You saw it. Bam. Bam. This means that most likely you are going to see something like this. Maybe a little bit more controlled, but it means for me, where's that freaking gap at? I always forget where it is. 25? $25. $25. Even lower than that? Okay, whatever. For the time being, $25. You want to go lower? Okay, test into 23.50. You want to go even lower than that? Okay, then you're testing into this block. And you're hoping that stays in the center of that block around $22. So this is all, I'm not going to lie to you, this is all bad things. You don't want to see these things. This means GME most likely goes down. A squeeze is a less probable thing all the time. So what does GME need? It needs good news. It needs great news. It does. If it gets good news here and you see that extend and it can hold above key levels, hold above 30, good stuff. But you have bad signals right now. I'm not someone who likes to go long on the lower percentage thing. Said trade lag. That's awesome. Not having. Good news, guys. Tariffs are off. Just kidding. Is AMC even alive? It's alive. Don't let people trick you, by the way. Don't let people, teach you bad things. Okay, don't let people teach you bad things. A lot of people saying, oh, well, AMC is really 27 cents. It's not. All right. To buy one share, it's $2.67. All right. These things change. Okay, then. All right. Well, then every Nvidia share is really $1,113. But I only have to pay $113 for it. It just doesn't make sense. Don't let people trick you on that little shit like that. It's just dumb. For now, this is great. This is great. What has AMC done? What has AMC done that a lot of the market has not done? What has AMC done that a lot of the market has not done yet? It's tested the lows. It's testing the lows. Did that make a new low so far? No. Oh, interesting stuff. But what do we see here? Breaks down, comes back in the zone, rejects right off at the center, curls back down again, gets the retest. If this thing would curl up now, take that zone, use it as support, you're looking great for AMC. I'm just saying. This thing has earnings next week. Risky stuff. Risky stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's retesting the lows. You got to see if it goes well, but man, cool. I like it. I mean, it's a low. What's the rule? What's the basic rule? Buy low, sell high, right? Then we'll add on the AMC play. Oh, let's look at, because AMC has a massive volatility today, massive volatility next week. Sometimes there's my YOLO, Richard. There's my YOLO. there's my YOLO for the next couple months. I'd rather load my boat there than Amazon right now, to be totally honest. If I'm gonna load a boat. Now, like I said, position size. Am I loading the boat there with $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 behind an option for AMC? No, I already hold on to the stock with a few thousand. AMC, and right when I bought that, it is now up 700, or is now up my little $400 or $500, whatever I paid. It's up 120%. But probably because I bought that, by the way. It's probably because I bought that order. And it's not even that big. It's just going to adjust by like a cent or two. Oh, sell now. I don't think I'd have liquidity to sell. But guess what? Those market makers, they're going to have to short my contracts. Oh man, you're throwing my hard-earned money away? No. That's my money. Don't worry about it. The fun account did well this week, Richard. So what are we doing with the fun account? We're having fun. By nail, I think your timing on it is potentially a good timing. Now, that being said, I always, looking at HGX first, okay, what's probable for HGX? Well, if I'm going to buy nail and HGX rejects from here and goes and retests these lows, I would just need to understand that that's a good possibility now, good probability for that to happen. But if that would happen, what would I see down here? Well, I could potentially get daily divergence or a daily higher low, right? We could see this or this. Okay, awesome. So I'm looking for the same things from something like nail. Nail is something that I like to invest in. So looking at nail here, very good. Looking at the similar things, though, it's not really showing you the best. It's not showing you the best, right? This just looks, oh, right? And remember, nail can drop faster because it's 3 times leverage. So it means if I want to grab something here, because I think it's going to end up doing that, okay, awesome. Well, I can also just wait. And if it wants to do this, it'll probably pull back down to that area again. So, do what you got to do. Invest what you want to invest, right? It's your money. You need it now. But for the time being, if we're going to see a retest in the market of the lows in any way, which seems very probable at this point, price point about 40 would be pretty damn good if you can get there. So, very cool. Very cool, very fresh, very new. Why the Qs are going up? It is because you never broke down through the zone. You were never able to break down through the zone. So why is it going up? Because it is still a positive trend. You did not break down through all of this. If you would have done this morning, right? You go boom this morning. You see that curl up, bounce in the morning, then you reject off. That's the actual short. So why is it going up? Because we never broke down. If you don't break down, you go higher. If you don't break down, you go higher. Let me understand why the keys. Well, we would say for this week, you'd be looking at 567. You can remain in this area for a little bit of time. I do have to make one little move here for a moment. Give me one brief moment. We have to look for some things here. Alrighty, target still. Oh, target. I'm finally, my investment's back 0.05%. Let's fucking go, dude. If you don't go down, you go up. It's true. If you do not break down enough, then most likely the market will go up. Because if you're not breaking down, then you're most likely moving up. That's all it is. I'm on Reddit, not Weeble. What about sideways? I think sideways is likely here, too. I think sideways or Sideways or a trap seem the most probable. As of right now, you broke through the daily expected move, 68% chance to come back into that by the end of the day. You think people are trapped in calls? I think at the end of this, whether we could build liquidity, we could move sideways for a bit, like Jim is saying. But I think at the end of this, you're going to see this as a trap, whether we move sideways right now for like the next week and we drop in 2 weeks, or we drop right away with some news over the weekend. I mean, tell me right now that guidance and everything was just great for all the stocks that we got earnings for all week long, right? And this is why I'm very hesitant, and you don't see me pull up the bull bear surveys and this and that all the time. I'm just looking at the state of the market, looking at price and going, people lie a lot. You know, the scenario I would think of is what let's say a man talks shit on pretty girls, but he still looks at pretty girls, right? Same thing here. People can say they're bearish, but they're positioned for a squeeze, and I think that's the case here. I think you have retail in that's what the psychology here would say. I probably need to find things over the weekend to prove it during our Saturday macro video. I'll try to find those things, but that's how I see the psychology here. I'm going to place another put today on top, large number. Hey, let's go, Joshua. I pray for you, buddy. I don't trust surveys. The day of the election, the survey said there was a 50-50 chance of someone, either candidate winning. I think it was maybe edge 51% to 49, something like that. And I was able to go to sleep sound and go, yep, Trump won 3 hours, 4 hours before they announced it, because I saw the rotation of what money rotated into the U.S. Appreciate your insights. Hey, thank you, Edward. Thank you for being here. Like I said, saying thank you every day, get in the habit of it, man. I'll say thank you right back. Saying thank you is a very powerful thing. Starbucks. Oh, pumpkin spice latte. All right, let's go. Let's look at Starbucks. Starbucks for the time being. Oh, better off. Ooh, wait a second here. There you go. Okay. You tested the lows. Starbucks could do something interesting here. This is great to see, and great to see the support come in. And great, why is it great? Why am I saying it's great? Well, because that box, right? Let's just talk about why it could be great. Yeah, we'll take the high point. We'll even take the highest point we can, which we probably shouldn't do. We'll take the lowest point we can. We'll take the zone, right? We'll take this. Why is this great? You're coming back. If it rolls from here, if it rolls in this zone, not good. But right now, rejection. Let's go. Retest the lows. We didn't go lower for the time being. Got to pay attention to the shorter time frames, but very, very nice. Weekly scale. Buy that center line. Look at that weekly bar. Very nice. So if you can curl up here, you get above these moving averages, I think you're pretty set to go, hey, we're potentially going all the way back. We'll see if we run into problems by then. Starbucks overall, what do you see from Starbucks as well, and why you need to be aware of this happening? Well, because you had this low taken out, right? You made the high, you have the low. So if you don't make a new high here and you see that stop short, watch out for new lows. You're probably going down to, yeah, $68, if not a spike lower like you got right here, some kind of spike. Which means maybe gradual. Let's not do too much with it. Okay, you head up, you do this. you start to reject. Actually, rejection would probably be from this area right here. Too many lines. Too many lines. I think the only one that's really important is like here and that one. Okay, so you're looking at those 2 points probably. For downside, we'll just keep the low one. So for now, if you reject from any of these points, watch out for lows. Watch out for 68.46. It's going to take a long time. You could take all the way into June before that happens. This could fail at any point, so just be aware of that. Sorry, the girls went out this morning, so you might hear barking. But as far as price goes, I mean, if you look at the all-time high and you really like Starbucks and you buy their coffee all the time and you love the business, the price you're technically getting right now is a 33% discount, 34% discount from the all-time high. So not necessarily the worst thing in the world. You look at the weekly scale. Okay. You see a low. You see a high. This might even be monthly scale, but either way, low, high, higher, low, correct? Awesome. And what do you get from that? Well, let's hold it above. You get a higher high. So if you get another higher low in here, I know we're paying attention on the weekly to a lower high as well. We're still thinking about that. But this would say if you take out, actually probably just 103.02, you're very likely to make a new high. A new high in this kind of sequence here. If you really look, it's kind of a sideways channel. So I wouldn't expect it to be like the best until you see breakout, retest, and then go. But for the time being, you're wanting to see if this is going to be a higher low. Your MACD is still telling you, be aware that this can reject. Be aware that this can reject. Okay, we can make that right shoulder. That could have been. Yeah, so more of a macro thing on that. SPY, starting to come off just a little bit. No confirmation just yet. I've been sitting on my hands all week. Glad I did. Isn't that awesome? Isn't it great when some no decision turns out to be the best decision, Tony? God, you gotta love it. Thank you, Habibi. You sound like my dad and all his business partners. Are you positive gamma now? Yes. Are you positive gamma in the way that, are you positive gamma enough? And you probably have to take out 570 to really be convinced, like, yeah, okay, we can keep heading higher. You have to just wipe through 570 probably. For the time being, I would say you're more in the first inclinations of being above positive gamma, which means if this thing flips on its head and goes back below 550 all of a sudden, say in the next week or so, you're still in the problematic area. If you wanted to call it something, you just want to put a name to it, you'd say, neutral to bullish stance right now. Neutral to bullish stance right now. Till you see 550 broken again, in my opinion. I believe a lot of people would pay attention to 556 as well. I'm up in Starbucks after being down 10 bucks. Woo! We love it. I only need to make 50K more this year, then I'll be good. Let's go, Dubs. Let's get that 50K. Nice and slow then. You have a long year ahead of you. What does that mean? Right? If I know that I only need that little bit more, well, maybe I am paying attention to if this pulls back and turns back up. Okay, good sign. Maybe I'm paying attention to this, right? Do we extend, then pull back, then curl back up? Okay, great trade over there. Maybe I'm paying attention if we get bad news and we reject from here and we come down to here and we see that thing swing back up for the higher low. That'd be fantastic, right? What does it mean overall too? Hey, if we go all the way down here, it looks really worrisome. I want to make sure to make that 50K this year. So let's see if we can go, this isn't going to be a straight shot, but you'd probably do something to get down there. Okay, if this curls back up, maybe that's my trade for the best trade for 2025, right? I think it's coming. I think the best bullish trade for 2025 is coming. We've seen some great ones already. I think the best one is coming. I just don't assume it is right now. I don't think it is right now. So, and if I miss out on it, bummer. Who cares? Do I have any opinions about Bitcoin? I think Bitcoin is at trouble. Anything below 100K. Bitcoin, anywhere below 100K, I think is in a little bit of trouble. You have 4-hour divergence right now formed. This is when you want to be watching out. Remember, we did not exceed 98.3, the level we found out, the level we just found. We really like that level. And then 2, you are not above this this dotted orange line. And you are creating 4-hour divergence. So that means if the 4-hour does cross here, you have a chance to do what? Go into a negative trend. So if you see a big move and we start to use this as rejection, you can roll that thing and go all the way back down into what? This big block. Actually, probably just this block right here is all I'd watch for the time being. See the behavior around there. And then if you cut that too much, you use that as resistance or roll that in some way, you're retesting the lows here. And Bitcoin likes to do crazy things. And then what are you looking for? You're looking for this in the opposite direction. You're looking for boom, boom, boom. Looking for something like that to make you go that way. As of right now, you see the opposite. It has not confirmed. So this thing is Bitcoin. It can go bam, and then all of this is wiped out, and then we just continue to go higher. We wipe this out right now. I think we continue to go higher. We see a big expansive move here. You curl back down, use it as support, bam, you go higher. Right? If you go up to here and you see similar signals to right now, and then it fails and it starts to go down to this area, use this 100,000 as resistance again, watch out. Bitcoin's probably going down to test these lows again. I don't know if Bitcoin will test the lows. I'm inclined to believe it could use this area as support. That's why I marked it off a little bit. I think it could use this area as actual support. The reason for that is the daily chart. Daily chart has some serious divergences, and the daily chart is extremely positive. So that tells me that really Bitcoin was able to just blow past some stuff and get back into here. That's great overall. And so what you're looking for now is the higher low. I mean, it can explode. That's fine. I'm talking about a potential opportunity would be make a higher low. Come back in. Go again. Show us the new high after getting the higher low. That would be fantastic. If we don't get the new high, we're going to have to treat it with a little bit of caution. Very nice. So once again, if the SPY wants to lose this, you have to see 550 most likely broken. I would say early next week. Then we see a bounce. Then we see if that can roll back down, and we'll pay attention to 535. But we really need to pay attention to the close today, because if you close here, 535 is going to seem less probable, which means you most likely have more time here. If you have more time, that's perfectly fine, right? If I decide, hey, yeah, we're going to see a crash over the weekend, and it looks like it's crashing, but then bounces up, management of risk, comes up to here, sets it up again. Okay, awesome. Right? There's ways to think about it, ways to go back and forth. But if we close the week down, not the week, but if we close the day down like this, right, down by the end of the day, well, then 535 is open. 535 is definitely open, unless you see something surprising over the weekend. If you close higher levels and you see a 95 or a 5% moment. Netflix is tempting. It's going to be difficult. It's just skying. It's just skying. It would be, you know, and the options can be expensive. Yeah. Mr. Jones, appreciate you saying thanks. Did we go over the VIX? The VIX is not saying anything too troublesome. The VIX is just showing this. That's it. It is closer to the center line than previous signals like here that caused volatility, right? It's bigger. It's more spread out. 2 hour, do we see anything worrisome? Once again, well, 2 hour, we have a different story, correct? Now, I think that we potentially do go fill that gap first, but we'll see. If we leave it behind, that's kind of a big hint of like we're going to see it probably revisit those levels, probably sooner than later. which means this could just be a retest in the early parts of May, and we'll pay attention to that for you. Get those monthly expected moves, right? Join Patreon if you want them. We give out the second standard deviation as well. So the more worrisome thing isn't on the 30-minute, in my opinion. I think it's on the 2-hour scale, which means I have to be patient with it, see that thing curl up, and then see that thing start to hold above the 5. Start to see that trend in the upward direction. You do have divergence on your MACD. You have divergence on your RSI. But for the 30-minute, we don't see that weakness right now. So the 2-hour would be our only real hint here, but it is showing. It is showing, okay? And at the same time, we see the 30-minute showing that slight divergence here. So we can read into it and say there is risk for this weekend just based on volatility alone. Don't think we feel those gaps below just yet. Once we start the bear market in a few months after blow off top, I think we pull back to around 5450, 5500. That would be great. That would be great. That means what? So what does that mean for the SPY? That means somehow we're going to hold this zone. That's pretty much what Dave is saying there. We're going to hold this zone. That's pretty much the statement there, Dave, for the SPY. Then we're going to see a 2-hour or some kind of pullback on the 2-hour, move sideways, keep chopping around here, maybe make a range. Yeah, so this is more just like if we're going to revisit those lows, it's got to be on pretty bad news. You're going, I think you're even going positive on the daily scale, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, you're going positive here. So we're going to have to see some bad news. That's why I'm not saying like, oh, shorting for it to go down to 535. It's not necessarily the best decision. It's more just like, hey, if I start, that's why it's like, if I start to see it break down and it curls back up, we keep going higher, right? We keep going higher. There's a bigger test. If we break down below this though and start to use this as resistance, that's when we go, okay, now it's a little bit scarier. Now we can go to that. Now we see how 535 is very possible. Seeing this, you just go, okay, a 2-hour pullback. 2-hour, is that super negative? No. Is it super positive? Yes. So what do we see from these super positive moves? When you see this, what do we get? Well, someone mentioned sideways in a range. Doesn't have to be this every time, right? Could have been a breakout right there, and you're at a different level. You're not at all-time highs. So if you go sideways, and you break, and then you break, oh, 591. But if we see it start to lose price, especially next week, maybe going into the second, I would say overall second week of May, second full week of May, that's when we'd be paying attention for downside, the actual short. Because shorting above the 5, shorting in this environment, you can be right, but you just don't know just yet because the trend is positive. If we get tariff news, we can possibly see an exhaustion gap Monday. Yeah, I think that's also what people are calling this exhaustion right now. So we might be forming an island too. We'll see. If we see a big gap down on Monday, then you have island reversal. Chug the coffee, chug the coffee, chug the coffee. Keep it going, guys. Keep it going. We got some time today. We got some time. I've got another 45 minutes in before my buddies come in, and we're going to go pump some iron. Everyone, all the dudes in chat, say your bench, and all the women in chat be impressed. Was there any positive China news in the last 24 hours? Not necessarily. I think it's more just confusing. Any positive news you get from China kind of gets shut down by something China's doing. Any positive news you hear from the Trump administration, China seems like they don't want to show their hand. That's what it seems like. Have all the time in the world. Ah, that sweet, sweet youth. Some of us don't have all that time, right, Bernie? We're old men. We're old. Some of us have hip issues. No. We can go look at some stuff, by the way. We can look at Riot. I think just had earnings, right? Bad earnings, good print, classic thing. Main thing is, are you getting to somewhere key? Yes. What are you looking for? You're looking for the retest down into these areas, down into these areas, down into this area if you're lucky. Yeah, this is the 2-hour second push, so you have to be a little bit weary of it as you head into, well, let's just go through it one more time, right? The trade. If you had the balls to stay in before earnings, by the way, first of all, get out of jail free card. Just a little bit, right at the week. We see 2-hour divergence, MACD, bam. RSI, bam. Awesome, we're there. So we know this is a go. What's the best I should expect for this? Well, 1 should be right here. Oh, look at that. 2 should be right here. This is the best it can get. It can still get better, but for this specific trade, this is the best you should expect. Right? No, it doesn't mean I can't do the little things in case something crazy happens. If I have 10 contracts, I could sell 8, leave 2. Awesome. But for the time being, this is going to be your decision-making area, in my opinion. This is where you have to make those type of decisions. Say thank you. Because you have a 2-hour divergence forming. God, someone is cutting wood outside or something. What the hell is going on? The fuck is that? Sorry. Very nice. I would still suggest this is the decision-making area. Right? That's all I'm talking about. The data tells you that. I'm just saying what the data says. As of right now, for this week, this would be decision-making. If you are expecting more than this today, then you are betting on 1% and 5% moves. There you go. Josh coming in saying, okay, China had some comments last night. We will evaluate trade deals. Is that a definitive stamp of good news? In my mind, no. But that is a good sign. I wanted Oakland Group to come in today. Where the hell's Oakland Group? I wanted to see what he was saying. He was the one saying 535. I think he was just a week too early on that. How many times are YouTubers going to put this changes everything? Everything has changed like 7 times in the last 3 weeks. We're all a little early often. Happens. That's because a lot of us are probably a little bit quick to jump the gun, right? A lot of us want to catch the top maybe without just seeing like, hey, okay, if I'm being patient, then I need to see this. $487.95. I mean, I don't know if it's a channel I would necessarily say I respect. 487, to put an actual penny price on something, I don't know about that. I would think, uh, what future thing is being said that would happen? Like what would take place is more what I'm thinking about. Like if I'm going to tell you, okay, this exact price right here, if we close below it, we're going down. What does down mean at that point? Like what kind of down is he suggesting? Is he aware that we can do this? Are we aware that this would be bad? That's more important. Um, because if you're not talking about what's going to happen next, it's kind of pointless to even say, in my opinion, but we'll see. I would more so just be like, hey, yeah, okay, we're seeing good upside. You're probably going to get some kind of bigger pullback, right? That bigger pullback could be, people might not think this is very big, but I mean, look at that. That's 3.5%. So, yes, I think a bigger pullback would happen if you close below those levels. I mean, you're just pretty much saying, hey, if we close below the high, the high of yesterday or something, is that what it is? 487.19. You're like, oh, we close below yesterday's high, then we're going to dip, then we're going to see stocks go down. Does that help you? Right? Does it really help you? Or does this help you more and say, okay, we're going to go back up? Or does it help you more to know, like, hey, when's the time we're in a short environment? Okay. I don't know. I think that helps you a little bit more. But hey, maybe you understand it. Maybe there's more behind it. And that's why I'm not fully putting together why that certain price, that exact price, that penny price is going to be correct. But hey, could be. You never know. There's some smart people out there. Daily chart? You're man. Okay, daily chart. Let's look. Um, let's see if he's doing something cheeky. Nope, nothing cheeky going. Oh wait, it's the Qs, right? Nope, that's too high. That's too high. I thought maybe we were just doing something cheeky with the 200. Kind of stuck between those right now. Actually, I'd rather have these up than the 20 right now. I don't know. I'd be interested to see the take, like see the full breakdown. Like maybe it's this right here. Maybe. I don't know. Figuring out someone else's analysis without knowing what they like to pay attention to and what they're actually saying is pretty difficult. Tesla. Tesla, good break. Let's see if this breaks to the upside. 2 hour overall. Ooh, looking pretty good. I would be a little bit weary of a flash move up that fails. That's one. Tesla has an extreme amount of volatility. The time for the Tesla trade was down at the lows. I think it was 2 hour charts still. Yeah, the 30-minute double bottom was a trade. Good one. The highest we should expect from that is here. Okay, 2 hour high or low. We didn't get there last time. The highest I should expect is here. If this 2 hour confirms up, the highest I should expect is potentially 328.50. Very, very high point. But I should be aware that traps in here are very possible. So the environment right now, the things that you're seeing, the other things, does it give you very much confidence that this is a great trading environment? There's some people who have said, hey, I think it was Tony. Tony came out and he's like, you guys, I sat out this week and I can't thank myself enough. Hey, that's how earnings work a lot of the time. So for Tesla, watch for traps above these levels. It's a good sign if you're breaking out, though. It's still a good sign. It just means we might need to reload it. Tesla, I think, has the opportunity to be positive while things are negative. Why do I think that? Because it's tested the lows multiple times now, and it's never broken that point. So I highly doubt we're going to come all the way back down to here. I'll still say it's possible. But for the time being, look at the daily with just extreme amounts of, you could almost say divergences, but really just a bunch of tests of these lows. and then it's building, building, building. So you get some kind of breakout moment for Tesla, right? If it does pull down, I just highly doubt it's going to break this. We would have broken that by now, I think, if we were going to. Unless we're getting some updated things that say this is garbage, right? That something that says the economy is actually proven to be extremely bad right now. We're going to see. I mean, for Tesla, you would have to say this would potentially have to be a depression type vibe. It would have to be a great recession type vibe at this point. We said multiple times you're testing the lows multiple times, so very likely to see a strong move from Tesla. Let's hope it continues. If it can continue, maybe everything else doesn't, but if this can continue, that would be a good thing. If you're going to pull back, yeah, I think it would be doubtful to say like, yes, we're going to go test these lows again for Tesla, right? The reason we're saying the market could test those lows is because the market pretty much has this, right? And it hasn't seen this, right? So that's why we're talking about SPY and the Qs being able to test those lows. Tesla's done it 4 times at this price, pretty much 4 times. And it never broke lower. So if it does roll here, hey, yeah, treat it with caution, because if you break that low, ooh, 180, you're losing 100 points all of a sudden. But for the time being, you've tested it so much that I think you're more likely to just see a higher low. You only feel like one gap. We'll see. Tesla's pretty crazy though. So I'm not the biggest trader of Tesla. I think it's got too much IV all the time. I never know what's happening exactly with Tesla. Why? Because it's a super retail stock. If it is a super retail stock, you're going to see fishy things. You could also break your hands. Yeah. Put a Chinese finger lock on on all your fingers at the same time. One of those Chinese finger traps. Put them on all fingers, and then you won't click buttons after a trade. After a good trade, you put those on all 4 fingers. Leave your thumbs. You might need those. Leave your thumbs. Right? Maybe that'll encourage patience. Wolfie boy tapping back into the zone. PCT has seen a test of those lows. If it curls down one more time, you might get another one. Very cheap now. 2-hour divergence at the low. Very nice for PCT. This was the actual trade. You would hope this gets higher. Personally, I think you're good to do this. I think doing this here is good. You want to see that breakout moment. Use it as support to go higher. Get to here. I think you would really like to see a test of 750, but that's the trade. Here's the trade. Bam, curls up. The points you're paying attention to right here, right? As far as price action goes, if you're lucky, hey, you get to the high point from confirmation, 16%, not bad. Looking at a 30-minute forms of weakness all across this, but what do you see at the low now? What do you see right now in front of you? What is proving in the present? Possibly a 30-minute small higher low, but not fully rejecting to give the new low. Good sign. Break to the upside. Don't lose it right now. That's what you need. Don't lose it right now. Then you can get that to extend. I think the risk gets higher as you get to this high point. Why? Because it leaks into the next block. So your risk could start to reject from here, and you're looking for pullbacks. If you get a nice extension there, that would be good. You have earnings down the line, so that means caution going into next week. More and more earnings. Need to update the moves. Now that I'm looking at it, TLT still dropping off while the market overall remains at higher levels. Not necessarily heel toe. I mainly just utilize the 9 for the most part, and then pay attention to the other ones as far as like good direction, strength, things like that, right? If If my 50 is like this, it doesn't necessarily mean strength, right? If it's down, I don't necessarily want strength. Once I see that actually curling up and see that upward movement, this is a good thing. If we start to see that flatten out and then you lose it, use it as resistance, right? These are more about direction. Then you can start to see that curl down and then you use it as resistance on the way down. So as of right now, 9 more tells me what, like, 9 tells me more about confirmations. It lines up to the MACD. I haven't used it personally, so no, I've just strictly mainly just focused on things that I've utilized for longer periods of time. I've played with, like, you know, what, 22s. I think some people do like 55s, 22s and 55s. I've really tried to, but it just, for some reason, for me, I'm just like, I just don't think it helped me as much. Like, I didn't think it was necessary to change a lot of what I'm doing for it. If I would have used it and then it would have proved itself really, really fast, that would be good. But if it's not proving to be giving me a bigger advantage, then what's the freaking point? Don't change what I'm doing, you know? Think we were reacting less to news, or there has just been a lack of news? You've gotten news constantly. You're in an earnings season. The whole reason for these upward moves is news. The whole reason for going to the upside is news. Oh, political news? Well, that's where you look at the dollar, Donald. So what you're trying to do is look at the dollar then. Dollar, nice retest. The dollar strength tells you that global news. Have we seen the dollar do what the market's doing? Have we seen the dollar try to test here? Have we seen the dollar try to test here? No. So has the game really changed? Or could this be more likely some kind of trap at the end of all of it? As of right now, the dollar making a potential lower high on the day, making a new low from the previous day. We'll see. That can happen in consolidation, but for the most part, if I'm looking at global, like political global tariff news, the dollar will be a good indication of that. Dollar, I'd probably agree with you, Sebastian. It's just, when is that trap going to actually form? Like, when is the trap actually going to be shown? When's the truth? Right? You're in a lie. That's how we like to say it around here. It looks like we are in a lie. But until I see the truth, or until I get the truth, I will not see what the truth can cause. We talk about the partner cheating on you. If they're cheating on you, but you don't know they are, everything seems fine. And then you start to see warning signals, and you think everything's fine. Then you see a warning signal. Then you think everything's fine. Then you see an even worse warning signal, but then you believe everything's fine. And then they sit down with you one night and they say, hey, I'm cheating on you. And everything is not fine all of a sudden. The truth is what will cause things to go into uproar. Do me a favor and look at the chart INZY. We'll look at it real quick. Let me pull it up over here. INZY. Let me see if anything important's going on. Whoa. Okay, 2 hour kind of choppy. Let's just move out to a daily chart here. Tons of divergence on the daily chart. How long has this been around? Lows, I mean, that's the risk to reward kind of play. I mean, you got to be breaking through 150 to really convince me, like, yes, we can get to 250, right? So if I'm just looking at this from the daily scale and I'm taking into consideration what we need to keep, what we need to take back, you're going, okay, about 150, 160, take it back. See that support come in. Once you see support, okay, it's very likely we're going to 250 all the way potentially up to 320. If you can burst through that and use that as support, hey, you just keep that positive trend going, right? We can maybe get to higher levels. You can get all the way to like $4, $4.50. Not too good of like signals to read into here. you are overbought on the daily scale, so it is very likely to see pullbacks from this area. If you reject once again on the lower half, very likely to see this type of stuff retested. If you can burst through and use it as support, that's how you go higher, right? Try to treat it simply. But as far as it goes, you're at the lows, the 2022 lows, right? So, it would say pharma companies a lot of the time, based on tests, based on results, things like that, implementation, all those things. So for me, this more reminds me of some of my dad's buddies, right? We talk about my dad's buddies that just like buy things that pharma companies, they'll buy 10 pharma companies that are worth $1, put $1,000 into each, and then one runs to from $1 to $60 and they make their money, right? That's how I would look at it. I'd be more just drawing up those blocks, seeing how price behaves around there, and then watching for risk. Thank you so much for the $10, Swivel Stick. We can keep an eye on it, okay? Swivel Stick, ask me about it in a week and we'll see what's happening because it's testing into that zone right now. So what happens over the next week will tell you a lot. Just because you break through resistance and you can turn it into support does not mean you are going to turn it into support as well, right? If you start to see it fail, understand it's failing. If I see something failing, then it's going directly against my trade, right? If in my mind something is failing and I have money behind it and it's failing, that means you are getting something against your trade. IWM, actually some pretty good strength there. Not bad. Still worried about that 2-hour scale. Ooh, that, if we're not going to squeeze further and see this just continue next week and boom, up another, up to, what do we got to get to? You got to get above 203.50. If IWM doesn't get above 203.50, I would say next week, maybe you get a retest. Maybe it takes 2 weeks, but if you're not above 23.50, I'm not necessarily rejection below that point. Pretty rough. I see how these bleed out stocks make a bunch of diversity. Yeah, they will always, anything that is squeezing down or squeezing up, anything that is squeezing will make a bunch of 30-minute divergence. A bunch. Squeezing up or squeezing down. You're going to see 30-minute divergence everywhere. So that's where you bump up the time frame to 2-hour or daily. And you look for a bigger signal. Or you think about, investment opportunities. If it's bleeding to the downside, you have to look at the actual fundamentals. I know it's crazy for me to say. I don't do that very often. I don't play with those too much. So now you sit here all day. You sit. And then you take a big old poopy soon to go test 550 again, at least. Amazon surprisingly in the green after weak guidance for AWS. Well, what does that mean? That means people are excited about the news they got now. Was that already priced in? Was the news they got already priced in? Let's talk about that. This all happened before earnings. This all happened before earnings. Right? Would you say people were maybe the big money was pricing in a good reaction, trying to get you to believe that the reaction hasn't already happened? We'll see. What does that mean? That means that we got to see some forms of rejection soon, and we got to start to break down if this is going to be some kind of trap. If it's not some kind of trap right now, then we would say it's not a 30-minute trap, potentially not a 2-hour trap, but it might be a daily trap to the upside at higher levels towards 575. I used AWS, so I'm a fan of AWS. I don't think it's like a bad business model. I gotta take a poop now. I don't. I was just reading chat, guys. SPY 565 possible short level. Yeah, I mean, possible. This is the risk to reward. You have forms of divergence on the 30 minutes. So you would have a reason But it is good to pay attention to 550 because that's where I think we could retest to actually head higher to make a potentially better signal. But if you get bad news with this type of signal and you lose 550, you might start a downtrend from like right now. So we'll see. Never to take a trade on a stock with less than 10 billion market cap. Hey, that's probably good. I mean, I guess technically I don't do that too often. That's more for the fun account, right? Patience, patience, patience. Then boom. That's how it works. Contract, 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 expand. Now, this might have been an expansive move. We'll see. It's pretty expansive a little bit, right? We started to expand, which means bigger swings are in. See if we tighten back up for a second here. This rally seems fishy. Good. It should seem fishy to you. That is the perfect thing to say. Does it mean I'm going to short it? Probably not. But does it mean I don't have to assume the risk if it's fishy? Probably, right? I can just have a good weekend, not do anything, and understand, hey, I see risk here. I don't need to see more upside. We paid attention to the 2-hour high or low. Fantastic. Awesome. We paid attention to what? 565. We're there. Awesome. Expensive. Expansive. Oh, so we got to talk about it. We got to say a different word. What's another word for expansion? Loose. Tight into loose. And if someone says I'm losing so much money, you're gonna tilt me. No. Freaking losing, damn it. Yeah, growth, I guess. Yeah. Volatile, swing. Good words. Hey, we're doing good today. We are encyclopedias. We have a huge bulge. So I will have to be hopping off here in just a little bit. I'm gonna try to stay on for another about like 10 minutes. Contractions when it's getting close. People use loose instead of lose is my biggest boogaboo. It's a pet peeve of mine, Tony. Okay, this is turning into Rumble all of a sudden, monumental. Magic box man will stay. Hey, that's Ruin Kitty. I don't have a magic box. I ain't got a magic box. Your magic box are boxes like these. Once you understand them and understand how they go wrong and all that kind of thing, how they break down, how they break up. Understanding this, like really, if you're like understanding price action in here is really, really good. So if you're struggling with like price action in general, we'll make a video for that and put it in the course. I'll work on that. Usually it takes me about, I would say with that type of video, it'd probably take me, if I can put aside the time, I could probably finish it in 1 to 2 weeks and just be like, okay, is this good enough, right? I want to make sure it's clear. I try to make it as clear as possible. Check IonQ. Uh-oh. What's my dad's investment doing? Check. You should just say check on your father. This is good. Oh, the tap in at 2650 even. That's great. Daily booming. So now you're looking for a higher low. That higher low would be potentially the next opportunity. Man, if that thing would explode on earnings though. Ooh. What if it doesn't explode on earnings? What if this is all bait, right? So daily scale able to go positive. I think, with earnings, there's just too much risk. The fact that this is breaking up is a fantastic thing. We want to see that extend to 37 from 30, 50 to 30, 37. That'd be fantastic, like a 20% move more. But for the time being, earnings gets you there too quick. You're looking for the pullback moment. That's all I would say about it. This market will dump hard. Possibly. Definitely possible. VIX making new lows as the SPY makes new highs. That's fine. We're just watching the 2-hour chart. The dollar dumping off, going back down to retest. That's not a bad thing. The dollar just needs to build back. HGX still seeing upside, but looking like it may have a 30-minute divergence. Watch out for that. Okay, quick look at AMZ. Are you talking about Amazon or no? Or AMZ? Just want to make sure, Sebastian, before we click into it. The volatility of the volatility is holding. Let's look at VIX 9-day if we're going to see it come in a little quicker. VIX 9-day really wiping it out. VIX 9-day did fill the gap, holding a multiple point divergence for the RSI and the MACD, but not giving too much confidence that that has to explode right now. We would potentially have to see bad news to see this thing explode to the downside. So I think it might be a bumpy road to the downside. Amazon. Yeah, we can check on stocks that we definitely look at over here. Amazon, for now, with, you would say, you know, price action coming back down below these type of areas. Well, if we're really looking at this, it still hasn't even broken through to get into this zone fully. So any rejections from this area are a bad thing, right? We need to get up to here to even have a chance. Really, you need to get up to like 200. That's why we kept pointing it out. 200, 200, 200. You're not there. You're curling down. 2 hours showing divergence. If 2 hour confirms, you know, you would hope it confirms today. We did just get the wick down, but 2 hour confirms. You can go all the way back down to 174.51 if you take this out. If you take this out, you do have the opportunity to go all the way down to 166.12. Amazon's in a different boat because Amazon has seen the test of the low and made that divergence. If we get a triple one, because we haven't broken through. We just haven't broken through. Right? For Amazon, we're really taking as tight of a zone as possible to really pay attention to it. I'm sure you could extend that up and say, hey, if this really wants to be bullish, let me include like everything and say, okay, if this wants to be bullish, well, then it needs to get past technically 198, get all the way up to 206, use that as support. Doesn't have to use it as support right away. Use the zone in general as support at that point to actually head higher. That's what I'd be looking for. You're not getting that for the time being. And if you're still in a risky spot, be aware of divergences on the 2 hour chart if one forms. One is forming right now. This says, hey, if it's confirming, I might even have a trade here. We're in a pretty positive environment, so just be aware of that. But that would lose the 5 and the 9 on the 2 hour and the 5 on the daily. But if this is going to confirm, it can roll down daily charts, and I'm looking for 174.51 or the gap fill. You know, we might just move that down to gap fill eventually, or all the way down to 166.12. So what we're noticing is there's 2 hour divergence popping up, okay? Right at serious resistance, right? We understand how there's resistance right here, correct? We understand this is where the sellers keep showing up. So if you create a reversal signal with those sellers and they show up and you see that confirm, that's not a good sign. Now, the other part to this is something else. If this didn't confirm today, did not confirm today, investment-wise, do I care? You know, this is a pretty cheap price. But as far as an option trade, would I want to be holding anything really over the weekend? You're at a pivotal point where sellers could step in, or you could gap above and start to see crazy things. Or is right now a good time of patience and sitting on my hands, putting their finger trap in my hands? Those are the type of decisions that you have right now. Because you're not getting any confirmations. You're just going, hey, this is a bad signal. If I see this before my weekend and this could ruin my Monday, do I really want to be holding on to things like this? Even if it did go up, you know? Would I be kicking myself if this went up from here when I see 2 hour divergence forming and that could just confirm on Monday and we could just head down? I probably wouldn't kick myself too much. Am I seeing 30-minute weakness for the time being? I mean, extended across, yeah, but not necessarily in the near term. So this could just be doing all this. finally get up to this and then reject, and then we actually see the 2 hours start to curl down. So you could have more time here, but it just shows like making a decision before something that actually matters. Your weekend is your time. You're not going to get that time back. Once the weekend is gone, you'll never have that weekend again. Okay, you will never have that weekend again. So making little decisions like this can keep you sane. You're not going to worry about Amazon all weekend. You're just going to go have fun with your buddies. You know, you're going to go watch an NBA game, do something else. I don't use scans personally. I like to stick to what I stick to. I like to stick to the charts on the right side of your screen, or most of the ones that I look into trading. So the list that you get over on Patreon, Jonna, is pretty much what I'm trading. I don't need to look at anything else. You can sit there and look at scanners and look at this and look at that and find a random stock and see a good signal. But as far as paying attention to how those stocks behave with those signals over time is a good thing. And that's why I like to trade a lot of these Mag 7s and some stuff below Mag 7 and JP Morgan. And JP Morgan's something fresh that I've done it a few times. GLD, gold, I've taken some on. TLT, I've traded before. So yeah, it's more about comfortability with me. I want to be nice and comfy. Nice and comfy with the things that I'm trading, not random ticker, okay, random signal, okay, random thing here. No, I want to be in as much control as possible. As much control as the market will let me be in. That's what I want to be. I'm not holding longs over the weekend. Hey, and it could end up being like, ah, damn. And then just try really hard not to be the people that say, I should have. I should have. I should have. I could have. Oh, I was going to. Try really hard not to be that guy. Okay? You're making the best decision for you at the time that you see those decisions need to be made. If you keep lingering on the past, you're going to miss the present. If you keep lingering on the past, you're not going to be able to read into the future with what you're seeing in front of you right now. Right? Don't be a could've. Don't be a should've. Don't be a would've. Anything. Just be in the present, see what you're seeing in front of you, try to read into the future a little bit, and say, if this happens, then this is highly probable to happen. Right? Being a should have kind of guy, you're going to end up being a should have kind of trader for the whole time you're a trader. I'm just going to tell you right now. And you'll probably see that in a lot of chats on YouTube. If you go in chats on YouTube, go in any chat, literally any chat. You'll probably find people in this one too. Go in any chat, and you're going to find that the person who always says, I should have, 3 days later will say, I should have again. 3 days later will say, I should have again. 3 days later will say, I should have again. Do you think that person is very profitable? No, they are probably not. Because they are always one step behind. Why? Because they are always thinking about the past. Always thinking about the past. The past does not matter. You can't control the past. It already happened. Can't control it. You can utilize it and learn from it, but understand that things can be different at any moment when it comes to stocks especially. But what you can control is having a good weekend this weekend. If I don't know, if I think something, I don't have to risk money. I don't have to ruin my weekend. That's something very, very key. The reason that I became a trader, the reason I started really trading was because I didn't like 9 to 5. I felt like some dude who barely works is relying on my work, not helping me with my work, and just taking all of my time while he goes out on the boat. So what did I want to get back? I wanted to control my time. You can control your time this weekend. How much control do you want to have over it? Because if you risk your whole life savings today, you're going to be worrying about it all weekend. You're going to be looking at charts all weekend, and it's going to absorb you. Just trying to give you some insight there, John, okay? On those scans. I know we always end up going a little deeper into things than we bargained for. But I think it's great on the weekend to talk about these type of things. To talk about the fact that there will be another trade in 5 days. There will be another trade in 10 days. There will be another trade in 2 days. But right now you have a weekend where you might have some free time. So make sure it's free. Is free time if I'm locked down and thinking, if I'm not free in my brain, then is it free time? I'd argue no. Is it really free? Is it free in reality? That's the thing we're talking about here. Make your reality, make what you're seeing in your head a reality. Right now you're moving sideways on a 5-minute. What did we say? If they really want to trap over the weekend, or we want to see higher prices, right? Just higher price. If they want to keep this trap going, we'll put it that way. If they want to keep the trap going, because I think you have a lot of indication that it has a high potential to be one, right? If they want to keep it going, are they going to do this right now? No, because you'll know about it. They don't want you to know about it. Why do you think dark pool activity is increasing and lit exchange is decreasing? They don't want you to know about it. That's why you're getting so many gaps all the damn time. Right? They don't want you, the retail, to know about it. So what do? They'll keep it higher. They'll keep it higher. They'll keep it higher. They'll keep it higher. And then at the end of the day, you might start to see that a little bit. Just a tiny little thing like this. People will say, oh, that's profit taking at the end of the week. They're probably right. But at the same time, we know if they want this to be a big trap over the weekend on some news, you're probably not going to see the sell come in until late in the day. Wealth builds slowly. That's all I need to read to know that's probably good. Yeah, enjoy the process is what I would say, Vector, right? Enjoy the process. And part of enjoying the process is enjoying yourself sometimes. And I love charts. You guys know I'm obsessed with this stuff. I am obsessed. This is why I got good at charting, pretty, really, really good at, say, charting in just a matter of, I would say, 4 or 5 years. I would say 5 years is when I really started, 4 years when I started to take it really seriously, stop just swing trading and get serious. I had some bad things happen that encouraged me to do it, right? But I still wanted to have my time. But guess what? I love it, and I love the process. I love it so much that I could probably chart all weekend long. But you know what I love more? Watching my daughter look at a hippo. That's what I love more. So take it into consideration with what you do over the weekend. Nothing to do with money, all to do with your time and how you utilize it. Minutes after up and bastards could have got out of 470 and back in at 414. Feels bad. Happens, man. Yeah, if you wanted to see the halts thing, there's a website for halts that's pretty good. This trade is done. 562, right? This trade right here, this is done. Whatever happens next, happens next. This trade is done. This trade is done until we see more information. Remember in the video last night? What do they do if they want to set a trap this weekend? What did we say? Do I need to pull up the video? I could pull it up. Hey, if you really want to trap people over the weekend, you sit price up here and you're in a bad spot and they're going to keep it up here the whole day. Remember when we said that? Last night's YouTube video? It was a brief moment. A brief moment that's very important today, right? Very cool. When a hippo yawns, that is not a yawn. That is a homicide horse saying I bite. I fed a hippo like 2 weeks ago. I threw some carrots at him. He was like right in front of me. I wanted to go boop his little nose. I was 2 feet away from him throwing carrots into his mouth. It was awesome. I love hippos. So we reached the upward range of 565. Well, 567 technical upside range, actually, for the weekly expected move. So we didn't get all the way there. But hey, gap fill happened. Gap fill done. Now we see what happens. No, you do not. You will be missing an arm. Well, he's behind those thick like metal bars. You know, they have those metal bars or whatever, cement bars or whatever. Um, and he's a he's a child. He's a child hippo. But my goodness, he went from like, yeah, I think he weighed like what? I think they said already he's like 900 or 1200 pounds just gained from last year. I was like, jeez, that's a chunk. He thick. He only weighed like 300 when I first saw him. Now he weighs like 1200, I think. Ooh. Oh, Crocs ain't messing with hippos. Hell no. I love animal stuff, so I just think they're great. They're just they're just them. It might be better to trap to dump it until 3, then push it back higher. Yeah, that's why I'm kind of looking at this 5-minute. But I don't know if you want to give anyone an inclination to short. If you really want a massive trap, I don't know if you want to give anyone an inclination to short. You want it to look extremely bullish, which means what? No big dips, no volatility. Get it up here, flag, 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 flag till we're at that center line. Let the algorithm take over, just curl it up a little bit. Boom. Set that trap up at higher levels. Then see that thing start to curl off towards the end of the day. Maybe you see one last pump to convince you it's going up. Still can, right? We can test higher levels than this. But I think this right now is how you potentially even get to 570, actually. We'll see. You know, we're not going to be perfect at reading into exactly what's happening with the price action at all moments. But if we wanted to set a trap, if I was a market maker, if I was Wall Street and I wanted to trap all of you guys, this is how I would do it. I would not show you anything bearish. I would show you nothing bearish today. Zero. Zero. And then I would show you the opposite of this at the end of the day. I would show, bam. Then you get to this type of level. You see a big wick down. You see a big buy come in. That's what I would show you if I'm trying to manipulate you. I'm not. I don't control those things. I control when I buy and sell. I control when I sit on my hands. I control what I'm going to pay attention to this weekend. You want to trap us? I mean, you're drinking too much of the milk, man. I love milk, so I know that's weird to say, but I do. There's a reason I was called the cereal boy growing up by my family. I love cereal. Not anymore. Cereal's gone downhill, like way downhill over the last like 6 months. Over the last year. Everything gets soggy so fast, I don't get it. I think it's an inflation thing back in the day. Weekly for now, top side 567. You're almost there. That's why I think we see it. As far as the monthly expected moves, upside 591.79, downside 517.29. You have more priced in volatility for next month. So if you see big volatile moves down to 517, that's priced in. Like, that's expected. How crazy is that? I mean, that would be a drop from this overall move to now of almost, what, 9%, 8.5%? So an 8.5% drop is priced in by the market. What would that get you to? Potentially gap fill. And that would be priced in. So right now, based on our monthly expected moves, this, all the way down here, if we're just reading into these yellow lines, this, not probable. This is a 1%, right? We have the dotted line for a reason. This is a 5% move right here, 480. This means that this means that Wall Street has to be taken off guard. The more likely thing based on our monthly expected moves is you're going to see a test or a gap fill if we're going to head down. If we're going to head down aggressively, 510. 510. We'll see if it happens. We'll see. I think we're going to see a moment here where people will start to, you'll see sell in May and go away trending on Twitter. Where it'll top off today, I think 570 would be a great level. I think 570 would be great for this 5 minute to try to get to. If it gets there now, I'm not the happiest with it. Like if we just shot up to there right now, I don't think I'm very happy with it. 570, but I think 570 is the key level. The reason for that, I don't just like to tell you and say it's random and do all that. I want to tell you why. If I pull up the options for today, the first big point is 570. So I would assume that all these people are going to lose money. All these people who YOLO things, they're going to lose money. The people who tried not to YOLO but kind of did, they're going to lose money. A little bit more well-rounded, good head on you, I guess. Right, let me pull that over. But 570, I don't think they want to close above that. So we'll see. You close above 570, you could see a ramp up though. Like that's the bad part. You know, once you're in potential positive gamma, so if you get above 570, that's where you can see like the gap. If we see a gap on say Monday above 570 and then we just fade that, that's probably a sign that we're seeing some weakness come in. So for the time being, I think we fool around here. Look at the daily expected move, by the way. Look at this. My goodness. Thank you for the daily expected move. Let's say thank you to the charts, right? Thank you for the data. Thank you for the knowledge. Thank you for the understanding. Thank you for the decision-making areas for the day. Good stuff. I love milk. Ladies love cheese. Ladies love that aged milk. Ask my wife. Sometimes I go upstairs after stream, guys, and she literally, I'm not even kidding, and this might embarrass her, but she literally has a block of cheese, and she's just biting that bad boy. And I'm just like, you have a problem. I'm like, you have issues. What if we see 575, then pull back to 567 before close? That's a lot of volatility that I would assume is just, I'm just going to say I don't think that's highly probable. I think that's good overall, but that's a lot of volatility for like a day. I don't think you're seeing that type of volatility right now. You're seeing volatility drop off even more, which means you're less likely to see a lot of those things. But VVIX is not dropping off. VVIX is coming back, which means volatility is starting to be like, hey, we might come back in at some point. That's definitely a problem. Oh, God, I just outed her for being a cheese munching. Hey, that's all right. You like what you like, right? If I was saying, hey, I go upstairs and she's just munching on carrots, just raw ass carrot, you'd be like, that's weird, but it's healthy. If they're snacking down and chawing down into some cheese, I'd be like, hey, you're sleeping on the couch for a night. All right, guys. I went over my limit as much as possible here. I was really trying to chill out and just be with you guys as long as possible today, but I got to get out and go see my buddy. I'm going to go hang out with my friend, right? Enjoy my time. Enjoy my time. Big, big deal. If you made money this week, hey, might be an opportunity this weekend just to enjoy your time. We don't have to risk things at all times. We understand we're in a risky area where we can see a drop, but the big trade might be a little bit lower down. We'll see. It could take some time to get there. But for me, I'm just trying to have some fun, right? I'm trying to have a good day. And I think part of that is just, hey, going to lunch with my buddy and doing things that actually, you know, are outside of the market fun to me. And I think that's a good thing. So thank you guys so much for joining today. Really appreciate it. Tried to stay live as long as possible. I hope you guys have a great, great, great rest of your day. I hope you have a great weekend. I hope you tune in sometimes, maybe for that Saturday video when we go over some stuff. I hope you tune in on Sunday so you're prepped and ready for Monday. And Patreon members, make sure that you're coming out and really getting down into the weekly expected moves for next week, right? weekly expected moves can be a huge benefit to us next week if we're really paying attention to how this thing wants to move. So thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you guys for liking, subscribing, doing all those things. If you want to learn this stuff, hey, full technical analysis course, 80% off. You're very new, okay? You can literally start swing trading with 50 bucks right now. You can go learn how to do it down in the description. There are options available for you to learn. If you have questions about those things, right? Write them down. Write down those questions over the weekend. This is the place to ask those questions. No such thing as a stupid question. You might hear me say, hey, that's kind of a stupid question sometimes, but those questions usually have nothing related to the stock market, nothing related to charts, okay? If you're asking a question about charts, hey, there's no such thing as a stupid question, all right? But overall, guys, the main thing here is it's Friday. Have a great weekend, okay? I'm going to go have a great weekend. I hope you do the same. Peace out, guys. Have a good one. Mwah. Peace out. GG's. I love the GG's every time, too. Later, heel toe. Later, Chris. Liking that daily expected move, Chris? Maybe not today. A little tricky on that one. Peace out, guys.